Good evening and thanks very much for joining us. I'm Brittany Ramsey. Canada is easing international travel restrictions for fully vaccinated Canadians and permanent residents. Starting July 5th, those aged 12 and up who are currently able to enter the country won't have to self-isolate for 2 weeks upon their arrival. Health Minister Patty Hajdu made that announcement this morning, but her crosstown colleague Marcus Pawlowski wishes his government would have gone further. Ryan Benazzo explains.
Traveling in and out of Canada is about to get a little easier for some people as of 11:59 p.m. on July 5th.
Fully vaccinated travelers who are permitted to enter Canada will no longer be subject to the federal requirement to quarantine.
But kids under the age of 12 who aren't yet eligible for a vaccine will still have to self-isolate, even while their parents are free to come and go. The government is facing some criticism.
People are maybe frustrated.
And Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pawlowski is among those who thinks his government is being too cautious.
I think probably the right thing to do would be recognize, especially if numbers are low overall, that the kids don't present a great risk, even if they're not vaccinated, as long as the whole family, the rest of them have been vaccinated.
Pawlowski is also disappointed that the land border isn't being opened up at the same time to permit fully vaccinated American tourists. The government announced on Friday that the border will stay closed to non-essential travel until at least July 21st. Given that, Pawlowski continues to lobby for more financial support for the hard-hit tourism sector.
I would say, like anyone who's lost 80% or more of their revenue is entitled to some added financial benefits, grants, or tax relief in future years. I mean, those are some of the things I've been advocating for, or forgiveness of their existing loans.
Ryan Benazzo, TVT News.
And we'll have more on the relaxed travel restrictions later on in the news hour. Meanwhile, there are now just 14 active COVID-19 cases in the Thunder Bay District. That's the lowest level in about 7.5 months. The health unit reporting 2 new cases today. One is in the Thunder Bay area, the other from elsewhere in the district. Both are due to close contact. 4 new variant cases have also been identified, bringing that total to 182. But the 14 active cases is the lowest since November 8th. Hospital numbers have also declined since Friday. There are now 5 COVID patients at the regional hospital. 4 are in the ICU, and the hospital is about 82% full overall. On the vaccine front, a delay in this week's Pfizer shipment means Moderna will be offered to all adults at the CLE vaccination clinic from Tuesday through Friday and at the Boralaskan clinic from Wednesday through Friday. Canadian health officials say it is safe to mix and match Pfizer and Moderna as first and second doses. Youth aged 12 to 17 will still be able to get Pfizer. It's the only shot approved for people under 18. Meanwhile, the final numbers are now available from last Thursday's Rural Clinic at Norwest Arena. A total of 633 people got a dose there that day. A warning has been issued by the Thunder Bay District Health Unit over blue-green algae found in Hazelwood Lake, just north of the city. It was found in a water sample collected last week. Blue-green algae can produce harmful toxins. Residents should avoid any contact with the water until about 2 weeks after the bloom has dissipated. Pets should be kept away from the water as well. Now, the health unit will continue to provide updates on the situation at Hazelwood Lake on their website. The City of Thunder Bay looked to spread knowledge from those who have occupied this land for time immemorial with an event held at the Kinsman Youth Center and on Facebook Live. Elders talked about the 4 sacred medicines as kids also got the chance to learn and create Indigenous-themed art. Corey Nordstrom has more.
I hope that the day goes well for everyone, that we stand united, that we are strong, and we continue to help Canada in learning the history of our people.
It's an emotional day for Lorna Turner, an elder from Lake Helen First Nation. So on the longest day of the year, as the country celebrates its Indigenous peoples and their culture, Turner decided to teach more about hers. She was brought in by the City of Thunder Bay's Youth Move group to teach locals at the Kinsman Youth Center about the 4 sacred medicines by planting a medicine garden.
Multicultural groups can always learn from what we utilize every day in our sacred gatherings and our ceremonies and powwows. So we're bringing in the sacred medicines that we use normally. There are 4 of them, but there's many more that we use in the process of healing.
We are trying to target an inclusive environment to youth around the community for a safe space for them to come and hang out and participate in some activities.
Youth Move held a day of activities, both in person and virtual, in addition to the Medicine Garden, including pickup art kits. Ashlyn Frabe is new to the area and was excited to have a chance to learn more about her culture through art and listen in on the sacred teachings alongside her mother.
I do want to learn about more of my culture. I wanted to learn more about their art because I never really know what to do, and art I rarely go to because it's calming and it's very soothing and gets out my creativity.
Now that I'm older, I wanted to share my culture with my children now that I'm semi-retired and show them what it's all about.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
Thunder Bay Police have charged a city man with numerous sexual offenses following an arrest on Friday night. 75-year-old Cornelius Spoljarich is charged with sexual interference, assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault. The alleged incidents occurred at a residence in the Roslyn Road area. Spoljarich remains in custody pending a bail hearing on June 28th. Meanwhile, a 29-year-old Nipigon resident has been hit with child pornography charges stemming from a year-long OPP investigation. The accused isn't being named in order to protect the identity of the victim. A number of electronic devices were seized from a Nipigon home, and police made the arrest last Monday. The accused has now been released following a bail hearing and is scheduled to be back in court in August. After nearly a decade of planning, a new dirt track raceway in Oliver Papoonge is ready for its grand opening later this summer. The Dairy Queen International Speedway will host the Dirt Track Nationals in September, taking over the event that's been held in recent years at Mosquito Speedway. Catalina Gillies has details.
After several years at Mosquito Speedway, the 8th annual Thunder Bay Truck Center Dirt Track Nationals has a new home, much closer to the city. The event is set for the September 17th weekend at the brand new Dairy Queen International Speedway off Highway 130. Co-owner and builder of the track, Norm Nadine, says they are expecting a lot of local drivers.
This town is definitely a race community, and we noticed that once they revitalized Mosquito Speedway, they had a good turnout, and I think there's a craving for racing in Thunder Bay. And just the feedback was everybody's always traveling to Superior or somewhere in the States to race. So we thought it's maybe time to get something going back in Thunder Bay, and the response has been awesome.
Nadine says they still have to finish the pits and the parking area, but once that's completed, the track will be ready to go. Oliver Papoonge Mayor Lucy Klusterhue says the new speedway is going to be terrific for the economy, and she's excited for residents to watch the cars race. She adds that they addressed any concerns about noise early on.
When they originally applied to put a speedway there, they had to do studies for their zoning amendment, and part of the studies was a noise study, and it was determined that the maximum amount of noise that you would have from a speedway was like a pulp truck driving down the highway here. So people are used to pulp trucks driving down the highway all the time, so it wouldn't be any louder than that.
There's actually enough cars in the Thunder Bay area and the surrounding area that we're going to have an awesome turnout. So yeah, for sure, if the Americans come up, it just adds to the show, but it's going to be an awesome show no matter what.
The track will host a practice event on August 18th, leading up to the races in September. Nadine says they're hoping to use the new racetrack full-time next year, with weekly races potentially every Wednesday or Thursday. And in the future, he hopes to add monster truck shows, motocross, and demolition derby to provide even more entertainment to Thunder Bay residents. Catalina Gillies, TBT News.
A donation of new furniture was installed this weekend at the Brody Resource Library. Sheridan College students and staff are working with the First Nation community to help create a new Indigenous learning area. Mitchell Ringo says more.
2 years ago, students and faculty in Sheridan's Honors and Bachelor of Craft and Design degree program committed to designing and building a collection of furniture that would create dynamic spaces within Thunder Bay's Public Library's Indigenous Knowledge Center. The multiple pieces of furniture were installed on Friday and Saturday by fourth-year student David Lewis and professors Connie Chisholm and Peter Fleming, which is going to be the new Indigenous Knowledge Center for Thunder Bay.
The work that you see around you today are furniture pieces that were designed between third-year furniture students at Sheridan College and Indigenous community participants from Thunder Bay. This is going to be the new Indigenous Knowledge Center for the Brodie branch of the Thunder Bay Public Library.
Chisholm says this project was very challenging during COVID, as at the start of production, their school was shut down. Despite all the challenges, the students worked vigorously to finish the pieces in the fall, even with other schoolwork, and dedicated a whole week in January to have them done. Robin Medicine, Community Hub librarian and Indigenous Relationships supervisor, was happy that the project didn't stay down in Toronto.
This is a project that would have stayed down south in the greater Toronto area, so it's great that that we were able to form this partnership and have some, the resources shared with Thunder Bay.
Sheridan graduate David Lewis talked about how much this project meant to him.
It always felt kind of bigger than just what we were doing at school. It felt like we had been given this opportunity to really honor the stories and the needs of a community.
Medicine says hopefully they can open up in the fall with a grand opening for the new Indigenous Knowledge Center. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
As COVID-19 restrictions ease in Ontario, a popular tourist attraction on the Thunder Bay waterfront has reopened to visitors. The Alexander Henry Museum ship officially opened today. However, because of the current COVID rules, the historic icebreaker is only open for external tours. Lakehead Transportation Museum Society President Charlie Brown says the outdoor deck can also be rented for private events. When restrictions ease further, the indoor museum areas will be available to visitors. Brown says for now, masks are mandatory and tours will be limited to families and immediate groups.
Okay, well, COVID's not quite over, but hey, we're actually open again, so which is really wonderful news this year. But because of the conditions right now, we're only going to be doing external tours. So we're going to be running Monday to Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the evening, and it's by appointment only because that's the restrictions.
Meanwhile, the planning continues to bring a pair of restored Brill buses from the 1950s to the waterfront site. Brown says the ground near the Henry is being prepared for the buses, but there's still no timeline on when they'll be moved from their indoor storage location to the Pool 6 dock.
Bet Charlie's fired up to get the Alexander Henry opened. I remember when it opened for the first time. I covered that.